Hi
Hi.
there. There is now an official first episode of Sheet People. And
Greetings.
greetings. And in studio, there are Danny Schmidt and,
Eugene
sorry,
S.
Smith.
Smith, yeah.
Yes, Smith.
Keep your legend together.
Let's not shock people so much.
Showing off. You've done enough of that before.
Too foreign, too foreign names. Okay, so today we will talk a little bit about the origins of the Russo-Ukrainian War.
That's right.
And we will be mixing, like, next episode will be a little bit again about us. Why did we leave Ukraine? And then we'll again come back to the topic of
When will we
of
come
the
back?
Russo-Ukrainian
Maybe we'll not.
war. Yeah, we will see how often and how attentively you listen to us. We will look at all of the statistics, measure everything, do some charts, plots,
Science
graphs,
stuff.
and yeah. And then decide if we continue with the English one. So, a little bit of the recap. The Russo-Ukrainian War started approximately in the 20th of
February.
February of
Officially,
2014.
actually, the escalation that was leading up to that actually showed the involvement of Russian special forces actually on the Maidan during the. But the official date would be better to refer to this as the start of the occupation of Crimea, so the 1st of March 2014, actually.
Yeah, so then it's even better because there are several discussions, and I think it was touched not so deeply, but still in the book of the Russo-Ukrainian War from Serhiy Plokhy and I think
Professor Plokhy, yeah.
Yeah, Professor Plokhy from Cambridge University.
No, Harvard.
Harvard University. And he was talking about that, and some other sources were also discussing, like, which date is the date of the start of the Russo-Ukrainian War. But I will talk slightly little bit about the pre-situation, and you will tell how did
Sure.
it start. So generally, these tensions between Ukraine and the Russian Federation existed already from after Ukraine regained its independence on the 24th of August 1991. But the problem was that exactly like from that time there started already tensions with the Russian Federation and also kind of Soviet Union, which did not actually exist, but still with some of the officials. There were several points. One point was that Ukraine had nuclear weapons on its territories. That was the first problem for Russia, especially. Second one, there were some alleged problems with the border between Ukraine and Russia. So there were some cities and towns in question, but also Crimea, even though Crimea was transferred to Ukraine officially by the Soviet Committee 1954.
1954, that was
Yeah, it
not
was
the
special.
decision of Khrushchev, that was the
No, no.
decision of Malenkov, it was consensus.
Yeah,
so,
but it was
yeah.
but it was the whole commission for this. Like,
Yeah,
the
it's not
special
just a
commission.
single-minded,
No.
yeah,
That
so-
wasn't one person, and Khrushchev was still far away from being the head of the state at that time. But what's important? So those tensions were already back then. Then it was a treaty between Ukraine and Russia, like in 1997. Russia finally ratified like a friendship protocol and kind of said, yeah, all those territories are yours. But then in 2004, there started again the tension between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine was moving already after a long Kuchma period. It was one of the presidents, the second president of Ukraine. He stepped down, and the reins went to the pro-European, pro-Ukrainian politician, and it was Yushchenko. So that was a very huge tension. Slightly before Yushchenko, there was a Tuzla conflict when Russia tried to occupy Ukrainian. It's not a peninsula. It was between peninsula of Kerch, and so it is a small island, Tuzla, between the Kerch and.
So it's maritime border between the Russian Federation and Ukraine,
Yes,
the Crimea.
you captured as the best. So that was the problem. They were trying to move this border illegally,
trying to pour some sand there, so they
in
were
order to
artificially
change
increasing the border and moving off
Russian border.
moving out
towards
the line of maritime border. So it's actually it's a
Yeah.
crime, and we did it right. We appealed to the international law committee about the violation of Ukrainian borders.
Ukraine went everywhere, and that was also interesting.
Made
because-
some noise.
Yeah, we made some noise, and of course we involved a lot of other politicians in that, and there was an army also involved, so there were already a lot of that was already a lot of intention. Then elections were rigged, and pro-Russian president could have become a Ukrainian president, but he did not. There was a first revolution, second one, the second revolution, like the Orange Revolution. So
That's right.
that moved a bit again the accent in Ukrainian politics towards the European Union, America, the Great Britain, and so on. But the tension was growing all the time. Also with the re-Ukrainization of the schools and so on, and Russia being always so angry with Ukraine that it tries to somehow regain its cultural identity and also generally identity of the nation. So Russia was very upset about that. So there were also a lot attacks about that. But what is more important here is even though after Yushchenko came to the power, pro-Russian president, he was elected officially, everything, Yanukovych. Still, some tensions were even between this pro-Russian government and pro-Russian president and Russia, even at that time, because Ukraine continued the association with the European Union, and Russia was like, no, we are very dissatisfied with that because it will.
Ukraine slips out from the Russian sphere of influence.
Yes, but that was more about NATO. They were afraid that if we start doing NATO stuff, they were mostly that it will disturb the economic balance and but yeah, it's still this kind of sphere of
looks like an excuse, but anyway. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, so moving on, and of course the epic moment was 2013, 2014. It started with the protests on Euromaidan, as it was named at that time. The protest started, I think, to be correct, on 23rd of November 2013.
13.
And they were continuing in all of the cities and towns in Ukraine. So the biggest cities, 26 biggest cities, plus Simferopol and Sevastopol, it was happening everywhere. From the 30th of November, the situation started escalating. First, beforehand, Ukrainian president says, no, we will not sign the treaties to get deeper association with the European Union and start this track. Then they attack on 30th of November people who were protesting at the Maidan. That's the Maidan Square in Kyiv. And then it really rapidly escalates. So millions are on the streets. According to different estimations, in Kiev it was daily between 500,000 and 1 million people on the streets all the time, We're not talking about the peak moments when on the
On
main
the
square.
Independence Square, there were up to 700,000 people, I guess.
Yeah, only on the square. So we are not counting this, like just an average where it was oscillating, and yeah, of course, Russia could not use this. They start their operation at the end of February, beginning of March, when some green people, so-called green people, appear in Crimea first, and they start the occupation.
Yeah,
And here
with the
here you
Russian
can
vehicles technique, with stripped signs, insignia, and it was maybe first time when the invader appeared on Ukrainian soil since decades, I guess, and they claim to be a
no.
self.
If we don't count the Soviet occupation of Ukraine,
But Soviet
then
occupation is like more difficult topic because the
yeah. But
Ukrainians were part of that also as well.
yes, that's everything true. We're not going here in detail. Still, it was a Soviet occupation because the election was rigged and everything. But I'm talking about, like, if we're talking about the occupation, their invader was a clear aggressor. Then, like after 1945, that is the first time when
That's
Ukraine
right.
was invaded in such a brutal way after the Nazis were.
Because after the proclamation of independence, Russia is a separate nation and Ukraine is also a separate nation. So, and they can change the roles. And Russia became an aggressor, official aggressor, just as much and just as distinct as it was with German aggression and German occupation decades earlier. It was the 1st of March 2014 when it was an official decision to include Sevastopol and the Crimean Peninsula incorporate them into the Russian Federation, which is completely against all laws, international laws, and the laws of Ukraine, first of all. And the next important detail is that during the March and April, it was another invasion on the east of Ukraine, in the regions that border with Russia. I mean the Luhansk and Donetsk.
I will breach here really quickly that, as I have said before, in 1997,
Yeah.
Russia has admitted the Ukrainian territories as unbroken and so on with the autonomous Republic of Crimea,
So it
and
was
with all
signed
the
a treaty of peace and
treaty
yeah,
of peace and friendship
and
between
so on,
Russia
so
and
on.
Ukraine.
So right now they decided to violate it because of reasons unknown. So I thought long about this. Why is it happening? What does Putin want? He wants the restoration of Soviet Union, restoration of, I don't know, Russian
I
Empire.
think you start a little bit wrong your question. It's not what does Putin want, it's what does Russian nation want, because Putin is a direct kind of reflection of what nation wants in general,
Well,
what their aspirations are. They want this greatness, bigger territories, this I don't know, this kind of this imperial way of thinking of
but I guess also without his will, his personal will and involvement, nothing of that would happen. They would just simply doing other things. But it just like it right now it doesn't matter what he wants or what Russian want. It just happened that Ukraine is on their way, as it was Georgia before. So it really doesn't matter. Let's leave it to the judges of international court. And I would like to also say that the other important date was the 13th of April 2014, when the first battle between the Russian units and the Ukrainian armed forces appeared. It was near the city of Slavyansk, Donetsk Oblast, when the senior Lieutenant Sukharevsky gave an order. So
I will
yeah.
also add here oblast in Ukrainian means it refers to a state or county.
It's a subdivision,
So
subdivision
a
unit.
subdivision unit, the biggest subdivision. So the highest one is Ukraine as a country. Then we have oblasts. There are
They have borders, they have
25
coat of arms, 24,
plus
24.
24 plus the city of Kiev, because it's the capital city, the
Sevastopol.
Autonomous Republic of Crimea and Sevastopol. So we have two city-states and one autonomous republic, which is officially part of the country. So it is not so autonomous as one would have thought. And then there are those oblasts, and each oblast has got its border and its capital also.
And the budget and so on and so forth, and tax system. So that's it. And 2014 onwards started the Russia-Ukrainian war in its cold phase, because still the planes would flying over Ukraine. We had like normal schedules, but still people were dying. What do you mean? Yeah. And the next important chapter was the taking down of the Malaysian plane, MH17, the name of the race, the name of the code of that plane. And it was taken down. It's now officially recognized by, with direct involvement of Russian special units, and with the involvement also of Ukrainian separatists. So people who had no agency, who were aided by Russia, and who executed the plan of invaders. So it happened in July 2014.
You mean this Ukrainian separatist backed by Russia?
Yeah, that's it. They have Ukrainian citizenship, but they still are agents. They are agents of Russia. So, and it was one of the symbols of the earlier stages of the war. And actually, after 2014, after the battle when the Ukraine took over the control over Slavyansk, it became a stalemate. And on this stage, it was called the situation as anti-terrorist operation, ATO in Ukrainian. Then in 2019, it was renamed.
I think in Washington Post and so on, that was also named like ATO, anti-terrorist operation.
Well, perhaps. And then it was renamed as the Operation of Combined Forces. So it could be involving not only the inner forces or police, but also the military. Because military, when we are talking about the status of ATO, the police and the military of interior has actually more capabilities and more power than the actual military, who do all the heavy lifting. So in 2019 it was renamed as OS, Operation of Combined Forces, and since 2022, 24th of February, we officially call it a Russian-Ukrainian war, or the full-scale invasion, which tipped the balance. And actually, after that, Russia has no defense left, no excuse to pull it from anywhere, because it was clear invasion. It was officially proclaimed, and they may call it whatever they want, but it's still, effectively, it is a war and invasion and a war crime, which should be prosecuted and punished. And we became witnesses of that, of which we keep memories. And one of the reasons we decided to actually become more involved in volunteering. That's it, I guess.
So I think that's kind of a general overview. We will go also through all of the stages, also the Minsk agreements and their implementation, and MH17 situation. We will talk also about the Scythian gold, because it was also kind of huge in the Netherlands. We're also involved in that.
Scythian, you mean? Scythian.
Yeah, but in English it's Scythian.
Scythian?
Yes.
Scythian?
Yeah. I have been checking, yes, Scythian gold.
Strange. Okay.
Yeah. And
whatever, yeah. If you understand, that's good.
If you understand, you understand. If you know, you know. But what's important here, we will try to go through all of those stages and on escalation. What do we think? And try to stay tuned. like up to date and try to bring you some information so you can easily, without a lot of nasty things, that you can get this information, get in touch with this, and also hear like from real witnesses and
Well,
very trustworthy people who can understand and bring you this information.
well, you can check us as well, actually.
So yeah, as always, any kind of information about the things we're talking about, we will add as a link below in the description to this thing. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Spotify.
iTunes.
Yeah, I think it is Apple Podcast and like RSS and some other stuff. So just Google us, Sheet People, and special thanks to those people who gave us this idea to have this name for the podcast. You know who I'm talking to.
Thanks,
So
Sam.
yeah, thanks guys. Yeah, until the next episode. So yeah, listen, share, click the button, subscribe. Yeah. So hear you in the next episode.
Thanks. See ya.
Bye.
Peace.